Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My good name is Joyce Kyoko. If you're a new subscriber or you're here and haven't subscribed yet, thank you so much. We welcome you. I want to take this opportunity to welcome you to my YouTube channel, Joyce Kyoko. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. Please comment, like, share. Remember to tell a friend to tell a friend. And today, guys, I want to give a different testimony. And this particular testimony, first of all, to those who have just joined us and haven't watched my previous videos, I've been giving series of testimonies of my life for people who are closer to me. And today, guys, this particular day, I want to give an amazing testimony. And this is of a woman that I love so much. This is of a woman that I treasure so much. And this woman, I've truly seen the hand of God in her life. I've truly seen her own God. I've seen her God. I mean, seeing her God, it's like the time of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego when they were thrown into fire. Their God appeared. The fourth person appeared. It's the same way I'm saying I've seen her God. I've seen what God has done to her. And this woman is none other than my own mom. Mom, if you're watching this, I just want to say that I love you so much. You've been a good example to my life and to so many people. Your walk with faith, your walk with God, what you've done, you've sacrificed your life so much. You're a prayer warrior. You've held us, you've prayed for us selflessly. And I want you to know today that we do love you. I personally do love you, and I see what you do. I have seen what you can do. I have seen what God has done through you. And today, Mom, I'm gonna give you a testimony which I witnessed as I was a child. Guys, this is a testimony about my mom, and this testimony, just listen it until the end. And just to give you a brief story before I start to the real testimony. My mom was in a coma in ICU for almost a month, a whole month. But guess what? God brought her back to us. And this is how it started. That time, I remember we were residing in Mombasa, a place called Bamburi in Customs. I schooled in Mombasa Bamburi Primary School, me together with my siblings. And my mom was heavily pregnant with our fourth born. My fourth sibling. My fourth sibling. And I remember the time I remember vividly well when she started having her labors, and my dad called a taxi to take her to the hospital. So the picture I could remember from that day when she was going to the taxi, she was really laboring and she was so heavily pregnant, and it was a white taxi and she was taken to the hospital. I don't want to mention the name of the hospital because of issues, and which I'm gonna explain as we finish this video. And then she was taken to the hospital, and so she stayed at the hospital. And I think the next morning, my aunties can attest to this because they were living with us at that time. They were taking care of us. Auntie Josephine Jerry, I love you so much. And Auntie Catherine Nyawera, I love you so much. There was also my uncle, I think Uncle Sami. He's still in Mombasa. You can attest to the story that I'm giving because you guys were witnesses. My grandma too, Lois Wanjiru, I love you so much. You can attest to the story that I'm giving. So my mom was taken to the hospital and she gave birth. According to what, I wasn't there, but my aunties used to go and visit her at the hospital. But according to what they told us, my mom gave birth normally. And then, usually when you give birth, you're shown the gender. They raise the baby, they show you the gender of the baby. Now, this is a story I'm talking from what my mom saw before she entered into a coma. They raised, you got a beautiful baby girl. They showed her the gender. And then immediately my mom, I don't know what happened, but she usually say that there's a doctor. When they took the baby to go and clean her up and, put her clothes, a doctor came and then gave my mom an injection. And that was it. That's the last thing my mom remembers. She was given an injection. I don't know if the injection was for pain. I don't know what it was for. Up to today, we've never known. And that's the last thing my mom remembers. And she went into a coma. You see, the hospitals that we have in Kenya, they're visiting hours. unless maybe it's a private hospital, but the hospital that my mom was, it was a public hospital, and we had to, there were visiting hours. You can't just visit anytime. So this time, my mom, the time that my mom was giving birth, she was alone. So we were waiting for the visiting time so that we may go and get the good news, you know? So when the visiting time came, my dad went. Guess what? My dad was told, yeah, your wife delivered a baby girl, but we have some bad news. We had some complications and she went into a coma. That was what my dad was told. And to make the matter worse, that was the bad news number one. Now the bad news number two. I'm sorry, the baby did not make it. That is what he was told, that the wife had given birth. And secondly, the wife went into a coma. There were complications during the delivery and she went into a coma. They're still trying to figure out what went wrong. And she didn't have a CS. It was just a normal birth. And then second news, my dad was told, we are sorry, the baby did not make it. Guess what? You know, my dad was given the body of the child, and then, yeah, my younger sister was buried. And then my dad came home, broke the news. My aunties were on and off in the hospital. They were changing in turns, except Auntie Josephine was back at home taking care of us, because me and my siblings were still a little bit young. Not that young, but we were in primary school. I was in primary school. I can remember very well. And then Auntie Catherine used to take care of my mom at the hospital on and off. They were exchanging with my dad. And everybody received this news. But now, us losing the baby, that's okay. But now my mom, I'm not saying it's okay losing the baby. The baby has gone, but now we have a different case. We have a case at hand. Mom is silent. She's not speaking. She's not doing anything. My dad found my mom with pipes. She had oxygen. She had been taken to ICU. She had pipes all over her body. She had things, they were trying to do tests to figure out what was wrong with her. The estate where we were living, my mom was known to be this prayerful woman, was known to be this woman of faith, was known to be, when there is crisis somewhere, when somebody is sick, she was known to be the first person who would go there, start a fellowship and pray for these people. That's the kind of an image they knew. That's the kind of a person they knew, that she was an intercessor. She was a prayer warrior. And people started asking themselves, after receiving or hearing the news of my mom being in a coma, what happened? She had complications and she cannot even talk. She cannot do anything by herself. She's just simply lying there. She doesn't know herself. She's simply in a coma and in ICU. They're waiting. She's just there. You understand? If you've ever had somebody who has been sick and in a coma, you understand what I'm trying to say. So those people gathered, they said, no, this is a woman of faith. She has stood by us. The estate where we used to live, she has stood by us. It shocked people. My mom's illness, my mom's being in a coma shocked so many people, because people were like, if this is the woman who has been praying for us, she's now in crisis, what about us? What's going to happen to us? And they organized fellowships in our home. And they used to come for fellowships every single night, every single evening. While my mom is at the hospital, they used to come for fellowship, and they used to pray for my mom. Even people who were not believers at that time. I remember one time, there were people who came just to pray for my mom, and they were drunk. Our house used to be full of people praying for my mom. Fellowship. People would come from out of their jobs, just to come and have a fellowship to pray for this woman of faith, that God may give her a chance. Up to now, we don't know what happened to her. We were just told it was a complication. And then one day I really insisted. I was so close to my mom. Let me just take you back a little bit before my mom went to the hospital, before my mom went to deliver. I had a habit. When I go to school, there are these viazi karai, we call them we call them viazi karai. If you're Kenyan or you know Swahili, you understand what I mean by saying viazi karai. These are deep fried. You coat, you boil potatoes and then you coat them with a mix of flour and water. You dip them in with a yellow food color, and then you deep fry them, and then you eat with something called ukwaju. So I loved that so much. So when I used to go to school, my dad used to give us money for food, for lunch. And every time I was so addicted to those viazi karai, I just wanted to buy viazi karai. And because I still had my utoto thing. So I used to crush the viazi karai into a bag, and then put mash them, and then put a hole, and then start eating through that hole. And every time it was a must for me to take some of that to my mom. Every evening when I come from school, it was a must. I wouldn't feel complete if I haven't remained some of that from my mom. And recently, I asked my mom, because now I'm grown up, and if my daughter brings something like that, I wouldn't eat, because those were leftovers. I asked my mom, by the way, mom, why did you used to take those leftovers I used to bring to you? Because it was a childish thing, but I really, really, really loved my mother. I wouldn't eat anything in school, be it biscuit, be it sweet. I will eat it, and then I leave a small portion and take it home. Yeah, I asked my mom why if she used to throw them away or she used to eat them, because they were leftovers. And you know how leftovers can be, especially when they are from a child. Now, this particular time, my mom has been admitted in the hospital. I didn't find anybody. When I came from school, I didn't know who to give those leftovers. She's the only person who understood and maybe pretended to take the leftovers. She understood the love I had for her. I had to bring something home for my mom, and every time I came home, the home was so cold, the home was so empty. I'm telling you, you can attest to this. If you're watching this, women play a good role in a home. Like, wives play a good role in mothers play a good role in a home. If you've been brought up by your mom, you can attest to this. Like, when your mom travels, that home becomes so cold. I'm sorry to the people who have lost their mom and when they're young and they haven't felt that love of a mom. I'm really sorry, but you understand, a mom brings life into a home. And our house at that time, despite us having fellowships in the evening, we didn't have life. My dad is there. He's trying his best, level best. My aunties are there. They're trying their level best to help us and raise us at that time. But the house was still cold. The light of that house is laying somewhere in the hospital. And one day I told my dad, no, if my mom is laying in the hospital, I really need to go and see my dad. I really need to go and see my mom. Please take me to go and see my mom. And they were like, no, you're so close to your mom. We cannot, you just wait. She's getting better. You just wait for her at home. I said, no, I want to go and see my mom. And that day, after me insisting so much, to an extent that I started getting sick. At home, I started getting sick. And then one day my auntie was told by my dad to take me to the hospital to be treated. And then my auntie asked me, which hospital do you want to go? Do you want to go to the same hospital your mom is, or you want to go to a different hospital? I said, I want to go to the same hospital where my mom is. My aim was I just want to see this woman who gave birth to me. I just want to see if whatever these people are saying is true, that she cannot talk, she cannot do anything. She's just lying there with a lot of pipes and under oxygen. So my auntie took me there. And let me tell you something. What I saw, first of all, I looked at her like this. I told myself, this is not my mother. This is not her. She is totally changed. Her face had become more dark. She was not talking. She was not doing anything. If you lift her hand like this, it just goes down by itself. And let me tell you something. I called my mom. Actually, I wasn't even treated. I was going to get treated, but I on the way, I insisted to my auntie, like, I really want to see my mom. And one thing my auntie understood, that was Auntie Catherine. She's the one who took me. One thing she understood, maybe I'm sick because because my mom is sick. You know that feeling when you feel something, when you feel something is wrong somewhere, you get sick and stuff like that. It was connected to my mom's illness. Then my auntie took me to see my mom, and what I saw there, I'm telling you, I wouldn't wish even to my worst enemy. I would never wish. It is still, that picture is still here, still traumatizing. And I called mom. I called, mommy, wake up, mom, amka, mom, amka, mom, mbona unalala hapa, mom, tunakutaka nyumbani, mom. And I was in primary school at that time, but I understood everything. Kama mtu mzima, I understood everything that was happening around. And I called my mom, and she couldn't wake up. She couldn't do anything. She was just lying there. And then my time was over for me to visit, to see her, and then I was taken. We went back home. Actually, I wasn't taken to a hospital to be treated. We just went back home. So prayers continued every evening. I'm telling you the truth. There were no changes. There were no improvement. We were at a dead end, completely at a dead end. But people still came. People still hold hopes. People remembered my mother. They remembered how my mom used to pray for them. They remembered how my mom held faith for them. Because my mom is one kind of a person. If you tell her it's impossible, she will tell you it's possible. My mom doesn't know anything that is. I've ever said this in a different video. She's a woman who works with faith. Ukimwambia hii inaona imeshindikana, she will tell you hapana, hii inawezekana. Ukimwambia hapa tumefika mwisho, hata sioni kama kuna mabadiliko, anakuambia hata sekunde moja Mungu anaweza badilisha. She will tell you even if it's a second left, God can still do something. That's the kind of a mother I have. She doesn't give up that easily. So we kept on praying. And we prayed and we prayed. But for me, as a young girl, I didn't see I kind of felt like, I don't know, where is this God? Because we're praying every morning. I look forward to seeing my mom back home. Every morning I look forward to seeing my mom back home. Nothing. And nothing happened. And the first week, she was still in a coma. The second week, she was still in a coma. And then in the third week, I insisted. I told my auntie again, I want to go and see my mom. Like this time around, I know I saw her first, but I still want to go and see my mom. And then my auntie took me again to go and see my mom. But unfortunately, the time we went to see my mom, just when we just arrived at the hospital door, the main hospital door, my mom was being pushed in the hospital bed. She was being pushed, and then I just saw her pass just in front of me. My auntie even didn't know. I just saw her pass just in front of me like this. Wah! And she was put in an ambulance. And then it started. I don't remember my auntie, but this is my mom. Where are they taking her? To me, I thought she's dead. Maybe they're taking her to the mortuary. But apparently my dad had organized, because my dad had realized there is nothing that is happening in that particular hospital. There are no changes. He's not seeing any changes. He's not being told what happened to my mom. So he wanted to take my mom to a different, better hospital. And that's what happened. So that day when I went to see my mom again, she was being taken to a different hospital. But because nobody had told me, I thought she's being taken to a mortuary. I thought something is wrong. And I started crying. And my auntie told me, no, she's being taken to a different hospital. Let's go back home. Tomorrow we'll go to that other hospital. And then she was taken to a different, better hospital, but she was still put in a coma and in ICU. That is the third week in ICU. And one day, I remember this day very well. I will never forget. People came for fellowship that day, and they were two drunk men. I will never forget. The house was full, but there were two drunk men who came for that fellowship to join others to pray for the healing of my mother. And these drunk men, they went into the bathroom. Because I saw them, kids are very keen. Don't just underestimate kids. Our bathroom was just, when you enter the door, the bathroom was somewhere on the left. They entered, they came in, and one of them went into the bathroom and messed the floor, peed on the floor actually. peed on the floor. And then they came to join others in the fellowship. I realized he peed on the floor because after some time nobody had entered in that bathroom. I'm the one who went to the bathroom and found pee, and I know the bathroom was clean. So when we were having the fellowship, I told myself, I don't want to pray while these people are listening to me, because we've been doing this. I just felt like I just want to go somewhere where nobody is listening to me. I had reached I had reached my end. I had no hopes. The only hope I had was the words that my mom used to speak to others, the words that my dad used to speak to others. And these are the words my mom used to tell people, that by his stripes we are healed. By the stripes on Calvary we are healed. And she used to tell people like, there is nothing that God cannot do. When I was young, I heard those words repeatedly from both my parents, where they were encouraging people, and I held to those words. So I went to that same bathroom. That's when I realized the floor is messed up. But guess what? That's the only place I felt like I could pray in private. And I just wanted me and God's time. And I was young. I was a baby. I was a child. But I had an understanding of whatever is going on. And when I went, I was so desperate as a child. I did not, I understood what I was doing, but I did not understand the push or the move, because I closed the toilet like this, and then I knelt down on that pee. I knelt down, and then I bowed my head on the toilet when I had closed it like this, and I started praying. I needed my mom back. I started praying, and I told God, I hear my mom say, I've heard my mom say so many times that by your stripes we are healed. And my mom says that you're not a man that can lie. And this one is written on your book. It's written on the Bible that by the stripes of Jesus, we are healed. And then I told God, I hear my dad also say that there is nothing you cannot do. And they both say, now I'm having a conversation with God as a small child. Like, God, you said by your stripes we are healed. Like, God, my parents told me that there is nothing you cannot do. If my parents were telling me the truth, this is what I was saying. Honestly speaking, I was praying in Swahili. It's not like now I'm saying in English. If my parents told me the truth, then heal my mom, heal my mother, heal my mother. I want my mom back home. And let me tell you guys, I cried. I cried to an extent. I was saying, I was doing like that. I cried uncontrollably. I can remember my tears were falling on the pee while my knees were knelt on that pee. But I didn't care. I didn't care. I wanted to try this God that my mom has trusted for so long. I wanted to test this God that my mom has spoken so good about for so long. I wanted to talk to this person that my mom kept telling me, he's an able God, he's a good God, he can do anything, there is nothing he can't do. And I cried, I called his name in that toilet. Actually, most of my prayers, I used to copy what my parents used to say. I prayed from the deepest part of my heart. But let me tell you something. What I don't know even where the tears came, but I prayed as if I'm mourning. I prayed. And then I was done. When I was done with the prayers, mucus are coming out, and my tears, my eyes are red. I felt so much peace. And then that's when I realized where I had knelt down. I started feeling the smell. I started the smell of the urine. A drunkard person urine, it usually smells different. that smell. Now I started feeling the smell. When I just woke up now, I started feeling everywhere. But when I went there, I wasn't feeling anything, any uncomfort or anything. I just did my thing. And then I went and cleaned up actually, and then joined the fellowship, and we closed. Oh my goodness, guys. After that fellowship, we had the next fellowship, and then the next day, in 3 days actually, we had two more fellowships, and then the next day I went to school. After me doing those prayers, the next day after 2 days I went to school, and when I came back, guess what? Guess what? When I came back, guess what? God is really good. I found my mom seated on the couch. I found my mom seated on the couch after a whole month in the hospital in ICU. I found her seated on the couch, and I hugged her. I ran to her and I hugged her, and I asked her, "Mom, you are home?" She said, "Yes, I'm home." I asked her, "Mom, how are you feeling?" She told me, "I'm healed. I just have a headache. I just have a small headache, but I'm healed and I'm home and happy to see you." Guys, I didn't leave. I didn't even change my clothes. I stayed there. Like, I felt like she's gonna go back to the hospital, because for me, a whole month this is a person you're used to have every single day. You're used to see every single day. I felt like I don't want to go anywhere except just where she is. And I could ask her questions. "Mom, mbona ulikuwa umelala hivyo? Mom, mbona nilikuwa nakuita uitiki? Mom, But guys, to sum my story, to end this story, I just want to say God healed my mom. God healed my mom, and the intentions that the devil had for my mom did not work. God heard my prayers. God heard the prayers of the people we were praying together. God heard the prayers of my grandmother, my aunties, everybody, my father's prayer. And God brought my mom back. Because if you saw my mom at that hospital, honestly speaking, she was a gone case. Even her, she can tell you this for a fact. According to what she had, according to what the doctors told her, she was a gone case. But my mom right now, she's a living testimony. She's a living testimony. God brought her back to us after a whole month in ICU. Just because she held on faith. She taught us faith. Personally, she taught me faith. She taught me how to pray. She taught me so many things. She taught me that there is nothing that God cannot do. To the parents who are watching this, it is good to teach your kids how to pray when they're young. It is good to be an example to your children, so that when a rainy day comes and you cannot pray, they can also call God on your behalf. It is good to put that faith in your children, that there is nothing that God cannot do. There is no disease that God cannot heal. There is nothing. And God surely listens to the prayers of a kid. God listens to prayers of a child. So he's gonna listen to their prayers, he's gonna listen to everybody's prayers, and eventually he will show up the same way he showed up to my mom. I love you so much, mom. So guys, this is the end of my testimony. I hope it has encouraged somebody. I hope I have lifted somebody's spirit, that there is nothing that God cannot do. Actually, what God cannot do does not exist, right? Until next time, please subscribe, share my testimony, tell a friend to tell a friend. Until next time, God bless you guys.